How you doing, and welcome to my channel. Now, if it's your first time here, please hit that like and subscribe, and if you are a returning viewer, welcome back and thanks for supporting the channel yet again. Now today I'm having a look at the brand new Batman Dark Knight Rises Armory with Bruce Wayne. Just having a look at the box, you can see we have the Batman suit empty in the armory itself. On the left we have the Batman, and on the right we have the static pose or the power pose Bruce Wayne. So oh yeah, and at the bottom there you can see it says Batman Armory with Bruce Wayne. Just having a quick flick around to the back, I suppose, before we move on, just give you a quick look at the back. We have some warnings written there, and we have another image of the figure or the empty Batman suit in the armory itself. No sign of Bruce Wayne on the back, but not the end of the world. So what I'm gonna do, guys, is just give it a quick pan down there. Completely set up, you know, all kitted out. As you can see, it looks really well. So what I'll do now is I'll actually get into the accessories and the bits and pieces. As you can see, I'm going to start off with the armory itself, and you can see all the slots there in the front, or all the cutouts in the front there where all of the accessories go. Not as many accessories with this one as there was with the Dark Knight Armory, the original armory that came out. You can see the nameplate there at the front. It says the Dark Knight Rises and Batman Armory, which I'm not too impressed with. I do not like this nameplate at the front. It just takes away from the realism of the armory having this nameplate. On the original armory, you could remove the nameplate on the Dark Knight Armory. Just let me pull it forward there so I can get the doors open. As you can see, you just pull them open like so. They are on a magnet, so they do clip closed in a sense because of the magnet. I do want to focus in on these little knobby bits though. As you can see, the door actually sits on them when it's closed, and that is there to support the door to prevent the hinges from sagging. But when the doors are open, there is nothing preventing them from sagging, and I'm going to be displaying it with the doors open, obviously. So I'm a little bit concerned. I'm not overly concerned. I'm a little bit concerned about the fact that they have put these knobs here to support the hinges, but they're not there when they're open. But it is quite sturdy. I can't see them sagging, but maybe. You can see there we have the drawers that are supposed to look like they're running on a belt. The belt is non-functioning, obviously. I'll just take one of the drawers out and show you that you're supposed to take this little plastic panel off and then put all the pieces in, and then put the panel back on to hold them all in place. And then if I can get this in at this angle, it's a bit awkward at this angle, and pop it all back in. We'll get into it a bit more detail a bit later on, and we'll fill them up a bit later. But there you have it pretty much for the front of it. Just let me get it fully opened again there. So there you have it for the front of the armory. What I'll do actually is, it's very difficult to get into frame, guys. I can't get the whole thing into frame, so I'll just give it a quick pan of the front before I move on to the back of it. You can see it has everything there is movie accurate. It has all the right wires and cables, all the hydraulic cables running down the back of it. You can see the placeholder for the suit itself, for the Batman suit itself. And just looking at everything's plastic. There's nothing die cast or metal in this whatsoever. You can see the frames for the door there, the metal, supposed to be metal frames there, and the hinges at the back and all of the placeholders. Those metal pieces there that are supposed to be the hinge for the door, I had to look back at the movie because I thought there should be a bit of weathering on them, but they're not weathered at all. It is completely accurate. Just having a look at the back of it, guys, you can see all of those hydraulic wires running up and down it. You can see those two double hinges at the top, and then as we pan down, you can see we also have two double hinges at the back, and at the bottom we have the USB cable plugged in. We have the on-off switch, and then we have this grey cable that basically transfers the power from the bottom up to the lights at the top, and you can see it is exactly the same color as the hydraulic cables from the movie that disguise, basically, you know, they disguise the wire, so there is no unsightly electrical wires running up the back of it. It's a nice little touch for them to blend that cable in, and it looks quite well. So I just want to have a look in at these hinges now. Like I said, they are plastic. There's no metal pieces on this, but they do, you can see there's a little bit of wash in them, and they are weathered a little bit. And they fully function. You can see that they, the hydraulic does go in and out and function correctly, and you can see that it's on a little hinge and it moves back and forward as it opens and closes. You can see it moving there, guys, which looks really well. It looks really nice. And obviously all of those hydraulic cables are all plugged into the right inlets as well, and adds to the effect. It all looks really nice. And just one other thing that I want to point out, guys, as well, is if I can get this to work out for me, I just flick this light on, and I have to get the light to catch this right for you to see it, guys. But can you see the watery droplets effect that is on all of the perspex, or glasses it's supposed to be? Looks really well. The whole thing is covered in this dewy wet effect, because as most of us would know, it comes up out of water in the movie. It's hidden, it's concealed in water, and it comes up out of the ground, and it's all wet when it comes up. So the whole thing is basically, it looks to me like it's maybe a clear coat lacquer or something that's flicked onto it to make it look like water. It looks really well. It's sealed in there. You can feel the texture of it on the actual thing. And just giving it one last open, guys, before we get into the rest of the accessories. You can see there that it looks really nice, and that's it, bare bones. So here we have the accessories that come with it. I haven't put everything out, guys. There's more than one of each. Just punching in on all of the accessories here. Like I said, there is more than these. I've just put out one of each, and basically the way I put it out is everything in this row there's one of, everything in this row there is two of, everything in this row there is three of, these grenades here there's five of, and these grenades here there is six of. I'm not going to go through them all, because to be quite frank, I don't know what they all are. I think that's kind of a grappling hook thing. There's some cartridges for it there. There's some, as you can see, there's some batarangs. None of them are functional. If I just flip this part over, you can see that there isn't any knobs for it to clip onto the belt. They are specifically for putting in those drawers. They're not accessories for the Batman himself. I'm sure he can hold one or two of them in his hand, but those belt accessories do not clip onto his belt. And we have a grappling hook and a grappling gun there. And then just focusing in there again, you can see just the details of some of those little accessories. So there you have it for those. So moving on, what I'll do actually is I'll show you how you basically fill these drawers up. So as you can see there, it looks like it's on a belt. The belt is non-functioning, but it still looks really well that it's in there. You can see it's not moving when I pull it back and forth, but it's still nice that they put that in there to, add to the accuracy. And if I just slot this out here, or pull this out here, there we go. And you can see all the spaces for the bits and pieces. And you just take these little covers off here. What I'll do is I'll actually bring it down, and I try not to get any glare. It's very difficult with all this perspex to not get any glare, guys, so my apologies if I do fill the screen full of glare. You can see the little plastic little tabs that are all in it there, and they basically hold everything in situ when they are all in the drawer. So I'll just fill it up here. As you can see, everything is to face inwards. They don't, like, I don't know, it feels like they're not the most secure. Obviously that's what those tabs are for on the other plastic piece, because they don't fit in deep, they don't clip in, they don't slot in, they're quite loose in there. But obviously when you put this plastic panel on then at the back with those tabs, everything should stay in place. And just looking at the hinge there as well, the details on the hinge and the little screws in the bottom corner of it there that my hand is covering right now. Brilliant. There we go. It looks really well. You can see those little tabs there doing their job, just holding everything in place. And you can see that those little things that plastic sheet clips onto, they're rubber. They're little rubber knobs or tabs that it sinks into. And there you have it there with all of the accessories in it. And let's just pop them into place if I can. And there we go, and it just slides in. Handy. And there you go. And I'll just close the door over and we'll have a look at it with everything closed. Obviously that's just one drawer filled, guys, but as we move on I will fill the rest of them and we'll have a look at it with it all filled up. So moving on, we will have a look at the empty cowl, the cowl that comes if you're displaying the Batman suit in the armory and not actually using it as a figure. It's identical to the cowl that's on the figure, except it just doesn't have the eyes in it or the faceplate on the front of it, but it is absolutely identical. And it has this separate neck connector so that if you want to pose Batman holding the cowl in his hand, you know, if you use the unmasked sculpt on the Batman suit and you just hold that in his hand, it looks really nice. And then you can connect the neck piece. It is easier to do than I'm making it look, guys. I don't know why it was fighting with me, but it is easier to clip back in. There we go, as you can see. And that's for if you're just posing the suit empty in the armory itself. And then moving on, just below that, we have the neck piece. So like I said, if you're putting on the unmasked sculpt of Bruce Wayne, you will be putting this part on the neck first. Camera's trying to focus on everything except the item I'm holding. It is more of a rubber, to be honest with you, than a plastic. I'd call that a rubber piece more than a plastic piece. And then we have the remote control for the lights on the armory. And then we have hands. If I can just get this camera adjusted, we'll have a look at these hands. There we go. We have 4 sets of hands. There is a set on him. We have 2 closed fists there, as you can see. We have an open gesturing hand. We have a hand for holding the batarangs. And then we have a couple of gripping hands there as well, or gesturing hands. And there is, like I said, there is a set of relaxed palms on him as well, on the figure as well. So like I said, we have 4 sets of hands, which is plenty. Just having a close-up of the hands, if I can get them to focus. My camera wants to focus on that batarang and not, and not the hand. There we go. A completely new design on the hand. You can see that at the wrist part, the strap is missing. It's not there, accurate to the Dark Knight Rises, and there is a completely new design on the grip of the glove. The whole thing is completely redesigned and looks really nice. And then we have, last but not least, we have his cape. Really impressed with this. It's not Jackson Zoo level, you know, it's not third party level, but it's definitely the best Batman cape I've ever received from Hot Toys. It's the thinnest Batman cape I've ever received. It drapes really well. There's absolutely no wires in it whatsoever, which is a first for Batman capes, for me anyway. And like I said, it's really thin and it drapes okay. It's definitely the best. I'm just gonna flatten it out here, guys, and show you the size of it. It is the proper shape, it is the proper size, and it drapes really well and is as thin as it should be, unlike any of the previous iterations that Hot Toys have given us. It is absolutely as thin as it should be and it works really well. So there you have it for all of the accessories, guys. So moving on to the figures themselves, as you can see here, they are both on one base because we only get one base, and you can see on the base it says Bruce Wayne, the Dark Knight Rises Bruce Wayne. Unfortunately, for the money I spent on this, I would have expected a second base with the Batman written on it, or Batman written on it. I don't see any reason to give us a complete Batman cowl, you know, a full cowl with eyes and a mouth plate and all those pieces, and not give us a stand for the Batman. Very, very, very missed opportunity there by Hot Toys, and I'm a bit disappointed. Just having a look at the head sculpt of Bruce Wayne there as well, guys. Bit of controversy behind it, I know. I don't agree with the controversy. Now that I have it in hand, it looks absolutely spectacular, and those blogger photos that came out of the, when it was released. Just even the promotional pictures just didn't do this head sculpt any justice whatsoever. And we have the new Batman sculpt as well, the Cowls sculpt as well, which looks really nice. Just looking at the side of the sculpt there, you can see that there is a bit of a hideous seam line where you take the back of the head off for the moving eyes. And looking at the chest piece and that on the Batman suit, the first thing that sticks out to me is the carbon fiber. It looks way better on this one than it has on any other iteration. Just having a look at the figure, I don't have a cape on it, guys, because I want to, to have a good look at the details, and I have the lights up really high here, guys, so we can see the details. So his skin tone isn't accurate, guys. It's a bit paler than it is in hand. Just giving it a pan down, like I said, the carbon fiber effect on it looks really nice compared to any of the other iterations. We have the buckles off the gloves missing, so the the gauntlet goes into the wrist. And then moving down, we'll just have a quick look at the boots. No major difference in the boots compared to the DX19. Like I said, the carbon fiber is one big difference. Just starting from bottom to top in my usual fashion, I suppose, we'll have a look at the boots. Split boot cut design, as per usual with the Batman figures. Not a big fan of split boots, but I do appreciate the articulation. Maybe one day we'll get to the stage with the technology where we won't have to split the boots to get articulation. But there is, not a massive amount of articulation, but I'm happy that there is at least a little bit. And there is some, you can see the ripple effect in the boot there to add more realism. And it kind of acts as a way of hiding that split in the boot as well. Just looking at the grip, best grip or sole of a shoe I've ever seen on an action figure. You can see the different lengths of the grip and the different designs, so it looks absolutely fantastic. Moving up to the knee pad, the carbon fiber effect looks really well this time around, guys. It looks oxidized, it looks used. The knee pad itself is a separate piece, unlike the other patches on the suit, that are fused to it. I think they're glued in. I'm not sure how long they're going to last. I don't believe that's Velcro, and I'm certainly not going to pull it to see. But I think that's glue, and I'm not sure how long that's going to hold up, guys. It just seems a little bit, I don't know, a little bit loose, but maybe I'm wrong. As I said there with the carbon fiber effect, guys, look at it there. It looks really nice. It looks oxidized. I don't know anybody who has any carbon fiber stuff, after a while, if you leave it out, especially car parts and stuff like that, you leave the carbon fiber effect out, it does oxidize. It goes that kind of color, and that looks accurate to me. Looking at the patches that are all fused onto the spandexy kind of material, that's not spandex, sorry, stretchy kind of material on the elasticy material, that's what I'm looking for on the trousers. And just zooming in there, you can see that some of the panels do have that carbon fiber effect on them, as they should have. Every kind of second panel down there, down the leg, has got that carbon fiber effect, which is completely movie accurate and looks really nice. And it's kind of subtle to the point where you do have to kind of focus in to see those different carbon fiber, those panels looking, slightly different. Just having a look at the material that is underneath, that kind of elasticy material that is underneath the suit. It seems to be slightly better than the previous iteration. I'm not sure if it's the same or not, but it just seems like a different material than the DX19. But I can't be sure about that. Just moving up to the midsection area, the belt to me is identical to the DX19 belts. Might be a different color tone, but it's the same belt. The crotch piece there, or the cod piece there, should I say, is oversized. It shouldn't be that big, I don't think. It's pretty much the same size as the DX19, but it's larger than the DX12. The DX12 one was too small, and this one is too big, so maybe one day we'll get its cod piece right. And then moving up, I suppose, if I just move those arms out of the way, and we'll have a look at the carbon fiber pieces and that on his abdomen, on his abs area there, if I can get this camera to cooperate with me. Like I said, while we're focused in on the belt there, I suppose I'll just do a spin around. It is exactly the same belt as far as I can tell. Like I said, slightly bronzer maybe, and less yellowy looking than the previous iterations. It has those silver lines running on the back of it, and then on the back of it, it is plain. There's no, holder for any grappling guns, and you can see it just comes apart in the usual way, just splits there at the back. But nothing at the back of it. I thought we might get a grappling gun holder, but I don't think it'd sit in the armory correct if it had that little grapple gun holder on the back of it. And then moving into the abdomen area, you can see that we do have more of that carbon fiber effect. It looks way better on this one. The spacing of all the panels is way more accurate this time around. You can see that there is an even spacing between them all, and we have all these little rib panels going along the side and around to the back. I didn't realize how much of them was exposed, to be honest with you. Not sure how effective that Batman suit would be, given the space there in between all those panels for blades and knives and bullets to go in between, but however. And then moving around to the back, you can see that the back is completely redesigned to the previous iterations. And don't worry, I will put in a comparison a bit later on and show you the differences. But just zooming in on the stitching there, you can see there's a stitch line running down it there, and at the side here as well, if I can get focused in. If anything's going to split, it's going to split there, and I'm worried that that might be actually starting to split there. It does seem like it's under a bit of stress, not massive stress, not modern suit Batman stress. I don't know if anybody's seen that, the back of that new modern suit Batman. It looks like that stitching is under a lot of stress. So there you have it for the back. I'll just try and move up then to the shoulder area, and you can see the curves and the proportions of him are way back. I can't get him to stand up. Please stand up for me, Batman. There we go. No. There we go. Yeah, you can see the shape of the shoulders is far more accurate than it's ever been. He does have traps. And the neck piece is way thicker than the DX19, which is far more accurate and looks way more realistic. Even looking in between those, between the pieces of the armor and stuff, the details, just looking at the arms there, the carbon fiber on the arms and the straps that go around the back of it are far more accurate than they've ever been. And then we have the elbow piece on the gauntlet, which again, a lot of people know that it's not accurate with the Hot Toys figure. The previous iterations, when you bend the elbow, this piece sticks out way too far. It's supposed to be attached to his elbow like it is in the movie. Hot Toys have never got that right, but this is the best they've ever gotten it. It doesn't stick out too far. On the DX19, when you bend that arm, it sticks out really, really far. So I like that they've made an attempt to try and make it look better. Just looking at the gloves again, whole new design. It has the gauntlet going over the glove, and it doesn't have that strap like the DX19. And you can see the knuckle pieces there that are placed on and look like a separate piece. It looks really nice. The detail is fantastic, and the texture on them as well is really, really nice. So moving up to the chest area, and again guys, first of all, I must apologize. I didn't realize when I was recording how dusty his chest was. I should have wiped that down, but please ignore that dust, guys. Just looking at the chest area, it seems bigger than the previous iterations, or it sticks out further. The carbon fiber effect on it looks really nice, and you can see those straps on the arms are way more accurate this time around than any other iteration of him. And the shoulder pads there are way more accurate and come down, kind of contour to his body way better than any other iteration. And then moving up to the head sculpt, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stabilize it a little bit before we get into this, and it looks really, really well to me. Like I said, guys, I do have the lights way up high here, guys. Just looking at the eyes, you can see that he has an eyebrow there. If you look really closely, he has an eyebrow, and unlike any other iteration, and it looks like the black paint is over an eyebrow. The eyepiece is way bigger than any previous iteration, and like I said, the neck piece is wider, and we have a much more accurate rendition here of the cowl, and the faceplate is wider than it was before, which is way more accurate. And the expression on his face, I know a lot of people are giving out about the open mouth expression, but it's not too bad in hand, guys. It looks really well. Just looking at the eyes, guys, like I said, you can see an eyebrow in there, which is a nice little touch that they've put in. Finally, we have the right kind of hazily brown coloured eye for Christian Bale in there. And it really looks like, look at that, guys. Look at the eyes in there. It really looks like there's a head inside that cowl. You know, the details, the gap in between the eyes and the cowl and that look really nice. Just pulling it off there, the head off by magnet. You can see there, it's just magnet. And what I'm going to do is make a really, really crude attempt at trying to show you the knobs for where you move the eyes. You can just about see them in there, guys. The lighting is really poor how I'm doing this, but you can just about see those two little knobs for moving the eyes. And you don't need the tool. You can stick your finger up there and move them if you want. I won't be moving those eyes. I'm not a big fan of moving the eyes. I can never get them back in line. And even if they are back in line, I'd be paranoid that they're not. So I don't move them. And then just popping this, you can see that this piece here is a new design. Well, it's not a new design. They actually done this with the DX12, where they made this part of the neck unable to move. It doesn't move left or right, up or down. It slightly, ever so slightly moves, unlike the DX19. The DX12 was exactly like this. The neck piece didn't move, which I'm not a fan of. I do like the neck. I do like to be able to move the neck as well. But looking at the mesh effect, that's all plastic, guys, but the mesh effect on it to match the the material on the rest of the suit is spot on. It looks like the rest of the suit, and it's not. It's cloth. It's plastic, not cloth. But like I said, a bit of a disappointment that you can't turn the neck or move it at all, really. There's no articulation in the neck, which is a bit of a backwards way of going compared to the DX19. And the 12 was the same. It didn't have any articulation in it either. But there you have it for the head sculpt. And like I said, guys, I will be doing a comparison, so we'll have a look at the difference between some of the other iterations and this one. Just giving it another pan, guys, another turn to the side. Definitely the best Batman head sculpt, the best Bale Batman head sculpt we have to date. So there we have it, guys. There is the figure itself. So moving on, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to attach his cape. Quite easy to do if my fingers would start working for me. I'm making this look awkward. It's not awkward. It's quite easy to do, guys. You just see the tabs there. If the camera would focus on him rather than my hands. You just slot the tabs into the holes that are provided and just push it in, and there you have it. Bob's your dad's brother. The cape is on, and it just makes him look even more real, even better again. And you can see there that they're not relying on the cape to give him traps. The cape is really flat on his shoulders. It's not bunched, it's not puffy, it's not wired, so it's not giving me any hassle in regard to trying to make it drape, and it just completely looks the part. I'm not a big fan of this little seam line that runs along the edge of it, but apart from that, it looks absolutely fantastic. Like I said, probably one of the best capes I've ever gotten from a Batman figure, and it is a really nice length as well. It just touches the ground at the back, which is nice, and it is darker. It is a darker shade of black than the suit itself, which is on point, completely like the movie. Just giving a quick pan down of the back of it. Like I said, guys, one of the best, if not the best, Batman cape I've ever gotten from Hot Toys. I'm not saying I'm not going to change it. I actually am still going to change it to a Jackson Zoo. And here we have the Power Pose Bruce Wayne, and I'll just give him a quick pan before we get into the details of him. I really like it, guys. I think it's a fantastic thing to have, for displaying the unmasked head sculpt. I would have no problem with Hot Toys giving a Power Pose with every figure that has a mask and an unmasked sculpt. I would have no problem with that whatsoever. I'm quite often conflicted as to whether I want to pose a figure with the mask on or off. So having this option is fantastic. Just looking at the arms there is a seam line running down them, down the bottom, which is nice that they've put it down the bottom so it's hidden, and you can see it's hardly noticeable, guys, but it is there, and you can see just on the elbow of the other arm where that faint little seam line goes up, but they've done their best to get rid of it, and it being at the bottom of the arms, it's not going to be seen when you're looking directly at the figure. So yeah, it looks really, really nice. You can see the texture in the skin there. You can even see that scar that he has just at his fingers there. And like I said, the texture and the tones and the, you know, the muscle definition and stuff just looks absolutely fantastic. Yeah, the detail is amazing, and obviously you wouldn't get this pose from a figure. And you can see the details on the fingers there as well, speckled, and the cuticles on the nails, and just having a look at the fingers sticking out at the bottom there as well, which I suppose they didn't have to add those fingers sticking out at the bottom. Nobody's going to see them, but it does add to the realism, I suppose, you know, that the hand just doesn't disappear in there. It looks really nice. And there again on the back of the arm you can see the texture. And then moving down, we'll have a look at the legs. Again, same thing, guys. Look at the definition, and the skin texture to it is second to none. I've never seen a figure with that much skin texture to it. I say figure, I shouldn't be saying figure. I know it's not a figure, guys. And then moving down to the runners there, or the trainers. A lot of people try to figure out what brand that these trainers are. I have no idea. There is no branding on them, but they do look absolutely fantastic. They look really nice, really real, and very detailed. And then moving up to his leg brace. Again, look at those kneecaps, guys. Looks really, really, really on point. This is plastic. It is all made out of plastic, guys. And if I just turn it to the side, you can see that the parts that go around his legs are supposed to have a carbon fiber effect to them, and then the lock and the vice is supposed to be just a metal piece. But yeah, it looks really well. It looks nice. Can't complain. And just have another quick look at those trainers there and the skin tones before we move on. And then moving back up, just having a look at the quality of the t-shirt. No problems with the quality of the t-shirt. Another thing that people were giving out about, saying that the t-shirt didn't look as well as the prototype. I've no complaints about the t-shirt. The hair is probably one of the lesser quality hairs that I've seen for a long time out of Hot Toys. That you can see the seam line here, if I can get it to focus. The seam line where you pull the back of the head off to move the eyes is disgusting. There's no other way of putting it. It is absolutely disgusting. Even the definition in the hair is really, really, really soft compared to some of the other figures that I've gotten recently. But as for the sculpt, in my opinion, looks amazing. It looks just like Christian Bale, even with that open mouth that people are giving out about. In hand, he doesn't look like the vampire that the promo pictures made him look like. Even here, guys, he's a bit paler because they have the studio lights just blasting on him. But he looks absolutely... I can't explain how well this sculpt looks. It looks better than any Christian Bale head sculpt we've gotten to date. You can see the 5 o'clock shadow detail, ever so faint 5 o'clock shadow detail, the little reddening on the cheeks and the speckling all over him. He has that little vein there that runs down just below his right eye that Christian Bale does have, and he has the mole on the inside of his left eye on his nose as well, which is a nice attention to detail. And again, just looking at that shadowy area there, the little bit of grey in his hair because he's aging, and the redness to the ears. Look at the eyebrows, are painted really well, and the shape, the side profile to me looks just like Christian Bale. Little hint of crow's feet at the side there. You know, he's getting older. He ain't old, but he's getting older. You know, he's been through the wars. Again, just pointing out that seam line. Absolutely terrible Hot Toys. You could have done better than that. And even the overall hair, like I said, that doesn't have much depth to it or anything. You know, it's really lacking. The hair is. But apart from that, like I said, look at even the shape of the bone structure that goes around his eye there, exactly like Christian Bale. The jawline, you can see the faint little kind of imperfections on the skin as well that are all added in. Really, really nice.
And there are teeth in there, believe it or not. Deep in there, there are a set of teeth.
And you can just see the hair just whispering over the ears there as well, which looks quite nice. But like I said, guys, I've absolutely no complaints about this head sculpt whatsoever. I think it looks like Christian Bale all over. Just looking in at the neck as well there, guys, you can see the painted in kind of crease lines where it's, you know, you see them there, the detail of just the painted little crease lines in his neck, which is just amazing, guys. The detail is, every single detail is there, guys. There's no attention missed out on, as far as I can tell. Yeah, it's absolutely spot on. I think it's amazing, and anybody who has their doubts, I'm going to put some light on here, guys, so he is going to go very pale. I do want to get a close-up of those eyes, as much as there's a lot of reflection on them. Yeah, like I said, anybody who is worried about this head sculpt or considering not getting this armory because of the head sculpt, don't worry. In hand, it's amazing. Like I said there, guys, he has that little mole on the inside of his right eye on his nose there. And yeah, just amazing, guys. I can't get over it. I wasn't expecting much from it because of all of the issues people were having with it and the promo pictures, but once I got it in hand, all of that worry just faded away. Having a look at the sculpt on the Batman figure itself, guys, and again, it looks amazing. It looks the best, by far the best and most detailed Christian Bale head sculpt we have. Maybe what was the character he played in Love and Thunder. I think that head sculpt was quite good for Bale as well, but this one is definitely way better. Obviously, you know, the character he was playing in Thor Love and Thunder, he had a lot of makeup on, and that's so easier to make a sculpt of that figure than it is to make an actual Christian Bale sculpt, and I think they nailed it, guys. Pretty much every angle I'm looking at it from, I see Christian Bale, and it looks really well in the with the Batsuit on. Again, guys, like I said, just panning around it, just trying to get every angle of it, to show you guys that it looks like Christian Bale. It looks really well. I'm sure there's going to be people out there that still are adamant that he looks like Batman Dracula. But having him in hand, I can rest assured it is not the case, guys. Yeah, so I'm just going to give it a quick pan around there, guys, and then I'll move on to some comparisons, I suppose. And here we have our comparisons. On the left-hand side, we have the original Batman Armory Batman, or basically it's a DX12. I'm going to call it DX12. Faceplates are the only difference between the DX12 and that figure, as far as I know. Then in the middle, we have the DX19. And then on the end, on the right-hand side, we have the new Batman Dark Knight Rises Armory Batman. You can see immediately that the heights, he's gradually gotten taller and taller. The DX12 being way shorter than the others, and then the other two, the latest release being millimeters taller than the DX19. The proportions on the DX12 aren't great at all, to be honest with you. I'm just going to give a quick pan or a look up and down at the three of these before I actually split the screen and have a look at the three of them lined up together. Obviously, well, in my opinion, the cowl and the suit and the proportions on the latest iteration are way superior, and as they should be, guys. And the DX12 just being, the proportions being way off, and you can see there it's gradually gotten better and better. Here we have the screen split, guys, with the three of them. You can see the differences in them there are, obviously from far left to far right, the differences are huge, and you can just see the evolution of Hot Toys Batman there, really. Some parts of the DX19 are the same as the DX12, and some parts of the DX19 are the same as the new one. So there is an evolution there. You can see the cod piece on the DX12. Sorry guys, I might point out the DX12 is on the left, DX19 in the middle, and the new one on the right for every single cut there. And then we have a side profile, and you can see, just looking at the proportions of the DX12 is way out, the proportions are way off. And looking at the shoulder piece, just the shoulder piece, or even the just all the way down the arm, you can see on the DX12 where the elbow piece actually is up on his tricep. And the piece that's goes around the arm is very different. The shoulder pad is very different. The back looks so different. The one on the left there, the DX12, looks a bit pudgy in the midsection area, and he's, over the evolution, he has kind of tapered in more and more, and looks more proportionate to, a human being actually being in that suit. Having a look at the back is very different on the new one, very, very different. You can kind of see similarities between the 12 and the 19, but the back of the new one is way different. And then we have the head sculpts, guys. Again, DX12 on the left, the DX19 in the middle, and the new one on the right. And you can see the eye piece has over the years gotten bigger and bigger. The cowl has gotten wider and wider. The face plate has gotten wider and wider. And yeah, the evolution is obviously, it's getting better and better. Just having a quick side by side of the two armories, guys, you can see that the size difference is, is there. There is quite a size difference. Just zooming in on the bottom of them there, you can see that the original one is deeper. It comes out further. It is a deeper piece, but the new one is significantly taller than the old one. And if I just grab this piece here, I want to focus in on this because I want to show you how you can just basically lift it out of this section here and remove this nameplate, and it becomes a more realistic piece with the nameplate missing. Why they couldn't do that with this one, I do not know. Why they couldn't just put it in, exactly what they done with the old one, just put it into that little piece if you want to display it with the nameplate. And if you want more realism, just take it out of it. They should have done that with this one, or at least made that removable. But it's not the end of the world. It's not, it's not a deal breaker. So there we have it, guys. If you've made it through this far through this really long video, thank you very, very much. I'm going to leave you with some photographs of the figure and the armory, and please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and help support the channel. Thank you very much, and take care.